Hello friends. Now let us take up the unit number 5, understanding static variables and methods. Before explaining about these, I want to introduce a great technique which enables you to master every programming concept. For your information, every programming concept is based on a real life concept. All programming concepts are borrowed from the real life. Real life concepts you know very well. Only thing is required whenever you are studying a particular programming concept, you have to find out the correct corresponding real life thing. Then you have to create a link. Then, if you understand the real spirit of this technique and all that, you can own the concepts very well. Owning concepts. Owning concepts means whenever somebody asks you about the concept, as your personal experience, you can explain the concepts. That much confidence levels you can enrich. And number two, if you have to write any examination and all that, no examination tension. Lot of stuff is there in your brain. Only time is the limitation in the examination hall. Your paper, your answer definitely will be unique comparatively with others. All are producing all bookish stuff. Now your answer is totally unique. In that way, many advantages are there, and you can face interviews very well, and 100% you can impress the interviewer. In that way, this technique, understand the real spirit of this technique. I am giving you few examples with everything. If you develop this bent of mind, you can get n number of examples on every concept. By that way, you feel comfortable with the subject, and once you are conceptually good and applications, concepts are blueprints for the applications, then definitely you can improve your application oriented skills, and ultimately you will become a proficient programmer. This is the secret. Now, here, static variables and static methods. For this purpose, I give you a wonderful example. By this apartment and flats. Every apartment is composition of number of flats, that you know. Now, in this, you can find certain properties, and you can find some servants. Okay, if you see two types of properties and servants, properties are classified into two groups. Certain properties are belong to apartment, other properties are belong to individual flats. For example, lift and power generator. Lift and power generator are the properties of the apartment, and cars. Some flat owners are having cars or some other vehicles like bikes and all that. Cars, bikes, etc. are belong to individual flats. This is the classification of the properties. Now, come to servants. Servants also classified into two groups: security guards and lift operators. Now, these servants are belong to apartment. Now you take some flat owners engage drivers, and some flat owners engage servant maids. These are belong to flats, individual flats. Understand? So all properties and all servants are classified into two groups. Some are belong to apartment, some are belong to flats, as far as properties are concerned, as far as servants are concerned. Okay, this is the real life model. This everybody knows. Actually, if you take class and object I explained in the previous unit, object is a real thing. In order to develop an object, the corresponding blueprint should be developed, that is a user defined data structure, that is class. You treat class is an apartment, class is like apartment, and object is like individual flat. So now properties means what you have to understand, data. Servants means what you have to understand, those are methods. Okay, now let us take one example. Let us take a room object. If you take room object, there are three properties. One is length, second one is breadth, and third one is height. Three properties are there. Now you see, normally you define them as instance variable. Instance variable, object related variables. But if you think analytically, one difference is there. You can make it as belong to class, that is length and breadth belong to object, and height of the room you may make it belong to class. It is not an obligation, it is smartness. Why? Actually, in this building there are 6 rooms. 6 rooms, their lengths and breadths are unique, but height is common. In any building you see, in most buildings, length and breadth of the room are different, are unique, room to room, but height of all the buildings, all the rooms are same, may be same. Somewhere some exceptions are there. Normally I am talking about normal cases. Then why should you define height for every room? You define a common one, make it belong to class, and length and breadth, as length and breadth of each room are different, then length and breadth you make it instance variables belong to object. Now same analogy apply here. Why can't you appoint security guards for each and every flat? Are you doing that? You never do that. Security guards are belong to apartment, not belong to individual flats. As far as servant maids are concerned, servant maids are not belong to apartment, servant maids are belong to individual flats. That is the difference. In the same manner, if you take lift is belong to apartment, not to the individual flats. You know the reason. One lift is enough, one lift or two lifts are enough, common use. And power generator also, one or two generators are enough for the entire apartment. So these are common facilities. So same thing extend, same analogy extend. Now you see why you have to define height for every object. Height is common. Then it is a common service, then you made it belong to service. In the same way, height you can make it belong to class. If you have to make any property, means here data, then you have to declare it as static variable. And in a similar manner, sometimes a common method may be required. It is commonly used by all the objects. In such case and all that, you can make it belong to class. So if we have to make any data item, any variable or method belong to class, you have to declare it as with a with a modifier, static modifier. You have to declare, then it will belong to class. Then what happens? Actually, with this example you can better understand. Room is the class, R1, R2 are there. So what I told you, length and breadth belong to object, and you are making height belong to class, then what can you do? R1 dot length, R1 dot breadth, R2 dot length, R2 dot breadth, because those are belong to object. As far as height is concerned, that is belong to class, room dot class dot height. In the same manner, apartment dot lift operator, apartment dot power generator, power generator. The same analogy you apply. This concept we learn in this unit.